With Richard Waring. He is an attendee of Master Your Finances Academy. What was the most beneficial part for you in terms of Master Your Finance Academy?
Me, I'd have to say, I think you and I met about probably 3 years ago, and immediately I started trusting you. I had trust in who you were as a person, and I felt good talking to you. I felt comfortable talking to you, and finances could be a very personal thing, and you don't want to talk with everyone about your finances and what's going well, what's not going well, what you could be doing better. But this is your area of specialty, and being that I felt comfortable with you, I never felt a hindrance between us. So I was able to be open and honest about my finances, and I think for me that started turning on the lights, just being in a space where I felt safe enough to say, "Hey, this is I've been doing this for the last 20 years. Maybe it's a cultural thing, maybe it's a family thing, maybe it's just something I picked up along the way." But just being able to talk through some of those things with somebody that you trust, and you definitely provided that space. So I thank you for that.
In the program, how much were you able to say? I know you said you looked at your budget or your
Hmm.
finances, and
Hmm.
you were able to see where you were basically like spending money that but didn't know you were.
And I definitely was. And some things were really small. Some things were, a little more sizable. Some things I could have just been doing differently. But in the few short weeks we were together, man, I was able to save over $1,000 a month, and that's
Uh,
still going. Just small things, small changes, subscriptions I didn't know I had. We talked about that. We laughed about that. I'm paying for stuff I don't even know I have, and definitely not using. And then just some other small tendencies. No big monumental changes, but they add up and they're significant. So it's good.
wow, that's awesome to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
Talk about how much debt you paid off during the journey too.
Super funny there. You you kind of talk about the technique where you take your smallest and you knock it out, and then you go to the next the next largest and knock it out. And I had so many small monthly bills that I had like on auto pay for no reason. You know what I mean? I'm paying, $50 a month on $100 bill. And I'm like, just pay the thing off. You know what I mean? It's like, just pay the thing off. But again, it was just creating awareness through conversation. Like, you know what? Let's go back and look at these things because, I'm not getting late notices or late fees. So I'm like, cool, fine. But when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, how much sense is this actually making? And a lot of times it wasn't. So I was probably able to knock out probably 7 to 8, relatively small, monthly bills that I've been paying, and was able to apply that money to, bigger bills and, kind of clearing the path a little bit. So again, just having that safe space to verbalize what you might be thinking, but don't have someone to bounce those ideas against. So, again, like I said, it was really good.
Awesome. So you had about 7 to 8 debts paid off. About how much
Yeah,
did you pay off? You got a figure, round figure?
roughly, like I said, these weren't huge expenses. I'd say 2,500 to $3,000 maybe,
That's good.
but they were
That's good.
just small things that were accruing interest every month, and it wasn't huge interest, but still I could use it more wisely somewhere else.
Talk about how important the mindset lesson was when it comes to this program.
And just speaking honestly, I think in my community I speak for myself, but there's so many cultural norms that we take on as gospel, and when you dig into it, maybe it made sense at the time that people started doing it. But as these things are passed on, they don't make as much sense now in this current day. And for me, in my situation. So just opening my mind back up to learn again and to again be vulnerable and transparent and say, hey, I do this because, I don't want to put my money in the bank because my granddaddy didn't put his money in the bank. He had it in a hole in the backyard because he don't trust no bank. You know what I mean? So just nothing that drastic, I should say, but but just rethinking some of the things I have been taught, over the years, and seeing how that applies to me. Is that something I want my son doing 20 years from now or next year, you know? Or is there a better way that he can think about this? And a better way for me as his father to think about it. So yeah, so I think, the mindset part was huge. And you know, just being transparent and being honest, you bring a faith component to it. And that's really important to me. And we are, you know, in positions in life to give some, varying levels, but everybody can give something, so find something that, is near and dear to your heart and, make a commitment. I could do without fast food for 2 days a week, and then I can give, $10 a month to an organization that I believe in, and as I, sharpen my habits, I can give a little bit more, to my church, to my family members, people that mean something to me. I can, be a blessing to them. So
If someone is struggling financially, whether it be single or married, and you're a single guy,
mhm.
what could you encourage them to do to join
Yeah,
Master Your Finance Academy?
yeah. I think, just take a chance on yourself. Um, make an investment in yourself. I think the class is very reasonably priced. I think the material was very helpful. It's something I can use, pass on to my son, other family members who may show an interest or friends. But it started with me wanting to make a change for myself, right? And if I had to do over again, I would. I think that's the greatest testament I can give. If I had to do over again, I would definitely invest the time and the money to take the course. And I can say that honestly.